This week on the Culinary Arts of Ashmont, I'm joined by special guest Mr. Jaffrey and other teacher helpers to make a Japanese dish called gyoza.
So first off, we got to prepare our ingredients. So for the cabbage, you want to dice it up to be fairly fine. You don't want to put it into a food processor though and get it to be that fine. We've tried that experiments over the time, and we find that the consistency doesn't taste as nice as if you don't hand cut it. So just hand cut it to be you want it small enough that when you mix it up and make your wrappers, that it's not going to puncture through the wrappers and cause you trouble.
We are cooking a big recipe for a lot of people, so just make sure your cabbage and pork are evenly distributed.
So for those of you who haven't had much experience with ginger, you can just buy ginger root any place in any supermarket. Get yourself a nice chunk there. To get the skin off, just take the back side of a spoon. You don't have to have anything sharp. Just take a spoon and just kind of scrape it off. You don't waste as much that way. If you try to cut it off, you'll waste a bunch. So just scrape all the skin off. Make sure you got all the ugly stuff off, and then you want to take your cheese grater again and you want to grate it. Now every once in a while you'll find you kind of build up a bit of sinew, kind of the fiber material, and just kind of rip that part off and just keep grinding it down. And then you want to pull all that out of the cheese grater and you have your nice ginger there. We also want to prepare our garlic. I know a lot of you have probably used garlic a lot before, so just make sure the consistency of when you dice it up, you want it to be about the same size as the ginger, so you don't have one of the two overpowering the other. The ginger we're using here is actually fresh from the garden from last year, so it's a little bit stronger. If you like ginger and garlic, you can see about how much we put in here. If you like more, it's kind of to taste. You can definitely put more or less depending on how much you like the flavor of ginger and garlic. If you get a little bit too strong, I guess you can always add a little bit more pork to your mix. And then you want to add just a splash of soy sauce just to kind of give it a little bit of extra salt. And then you want to mix it up. I just mix it by hand until it's even consistency all around. Now we're going to get to the last step, which is the step that takes work, and that is wrapping the dumplings. You want to prepare by getting some water ready, because you have to put a little bit of water in each one. The important thing is to put water on half of the seam, and the water is what's going to help glue that together. So you want to put water around half of the dumpling wrapper, and then you can either use a spoon or your fingers and just enough filling so you don't have it squishing out the outsides. Now you'll notice that when I'm doing my wrap, I press together the outsides and then I make a few little folds in it. Now this helps it to hold together. The big thing is, again, just to be consistent with how much you put in and just make sure that you seal it up well all the way around so that it's not coming apart in your pan. Once you have the dumplings made, you can fill up your cookie sheets. If you're not going to eat them immediately, you need to keep them on the cookie sheets and just put them right into the freezer. It is important that they don't touch. If they're touching when they freeze, they can stick together. Cook it usually on a medium to high heat so you get a nice crispy bottom at the end. So you want to get your pan hot. Nice non-stick pan is preferable. Get a nice little layer of oil in the bottom so it can kind of fry a little bit. And then when it gets hot, you want to put your gyoza in the pan. And then you want to add a little bit of water and put the lid on. And then what's going to happen is it's going to steam and cook the dumplings with the steam. And then once the steam is all been dissipated, of course, it is going to fry the bottom and make it a little bit crispy. And that's how they would serve them in Japan. So they're cooked and the top has been steamed and the bottom has a little bit of a crispy brown to it almost. That's how they would serve them to you if you cook it perfectly. Once you're all cooked, you can serve them on the table there. And of course, the dipping sauce that goes with it is quite simple. In Tokyo, they would just give you vinegar, soy sauce, and hot chili oil. And that's all the dipping sauce is. It's about half and half soy sauce and vinegar. And then you can add hot sauce of some kind if you would like. This is the standard one you would get in Japan, and it is personally my favorite, and I hope you enjoy it because it is very tasty.